How's building right now?
It's really interesting. Yeah, it's definitely different compared to when I was in SF because I just came back to London a few weeks ago. A bit lonelier because it's harder to find that community that you want to be around, but
Does
it's
does
going good.
does London Founder House plugged Opus not do it for you? Is it? Do you want to be sitting in Founders Inc. falling asleep on chairs and under and inside the booths? I watched the videos. They're freaking brilliant.
Thank you, thank you. You've done your research. Um, yeah, I'm trying to kind of meet more people in these communities that you just mentioned. And it's definitely going good so far, but I don't think anything will really compare to just the amount of people in SF that are working in tech and doing cool things. So I think I'll always miss that, but I do think you can get a good way there in London.
All right, give me some context and background. Right, we need some context on Sourish. We want to understand what you're building as well today, but also it's kind of open ended. I enjoy these chats. Like we can go in any tangent, but yeah, context, intro, background.
Yeah, so I guess context is I'm 19. I dropped out of Imperial Electronic Engineering earlier this year because I really didn't like the course and kind of the environment I was in and all of that stuff. So then I spent the next few months just working on different projects, learning different skills, meeting cool people, got into filmmaking. Um, and then I went to SF because I got into this incubator. So it's a 6 week program in summer by Founders Inc. They're a VC firm. So I spent 6 weeks there building with a couple of friends. Then they quit, so I switched ideas, spent the next 1.5 months building, and came back to the UK just a couple of weeks ago. And here I am today.
Love it. What are we building? Like what? Okay, actually,
Yes.
what were we building, and then what are we pivoting to?
Yes. So we were building a browser extension that could scan all of the content on your web page on any website you were visiting and filter stuff out. So for example, you
Okay,
could type in, yeah,
that makes a lot of sense. Sorry, yeah, I'm thinking out loud. Go for
yeah.
it.
So for example, you could type in Donald Trump into the blacklist and you would never see any Donald Trump on your internet ever again. So that's the type of thing I was working on.
Why that?
And now, and now I'm doing AI animation. So
Vibes.
can I create cartoons and animations and eventually, many years down the road, films that you see in the cinema with AI?
All right, let's forget about the Google extension for a moment. Let's stick to the animation side of things. It feels like you're talking about something that can rival Disney long term. Short term, what does that end up looking like?
Yeah, so short term, I need to. Well, I mean, the tech for AI video is not yet there at like film level. That's probably obvious if you've seen some of these videos around the internet. So I think there's at least a few years before we get to that quality.
Hmm.
And until then, there are definitely other fields where they're happy with like almost like a second tier level of quality. For example, podcasts. This podcast is we got video, so it's awesome. But there are many podcasters who like just having audio. They just like speaking or doing research into something or someone and then talking about it for an hour. And that's great if you listen to it. But to really grow podcasts, you need video. You need to be able to kind of clip it and make short form content. You need to be able to post it on YouTube with actual visuals. So these podcasters, they would love, at least my thesis is that they would love if they can easily get a good quality, a solid level of quality of animation to go alongside their audio. And that's what I'm working on right now. Can I generate that video?
Can you like does it actually work? Because I've used VO3 as an example. I've used Midjourney, etc. I've used Sora. It doesn't feel as if you can build something like as the average person very quickly that is of a high quality and high caliber.
Yeah, that's totally right. Because I think if you look at animation studios in real life, like humans making anime shows or cartoons,
Okay.
there are tens of humans working literally thousands of hours to make this happen, and there
Hmm.
are hundreds of steps. And so I think the notion that you can just kind of go to Veo and generate an actually usable video for your channel or whatever, I think that's wrong. And I think what we have to do is look at what these animation studios are doing. How do they create 20-minute anime shows? Um, and how can we use AI tools to almost replicate the human in each of those 100 steps? And if you do that for each of those 100 steps, you end up with this AI agent that can essentially generate a video that's a way higher quality than if you were to just go to VO. Just an example of that, because I know that's a very
Hmm.
vague explanation of what's going on. An example is if you ask VO to generate a video of some character, you describe the character, it does it. Now the problem with that is how do you replicate that? What if you want to create a second scene? How do you describe the exact same character? You can't. Like VO will have some differences between scene one and scene two. However, what you can do, which is what they do in real life, is you create one image of the character. Then for that one reference image, you then generate other images where that character is wearing different clothes. It's got a different expression. It's got different poses. It's sitting down, it's standing up, and so on. And that's what they do in real studios. So if we can replicate that process with AI, then we get a way higher quality.
And how do you do that so that it can string together a story? Because it feels like everything is in isolation there.
Yeah, that's actually a good point. That's the thing I'm currently struggling with the most
Is that the
because
hard
humans are
thing?
great at storytelling. Yes, yes, that's the hard thing. Um, so to answer your
But
question,
work with me. Like, what's the thesis? What are you
yeah,
thinking about around this? Like, is it that you have to sort of bake in storytelling into the product so that it can go and tell the story, and then it can go and create the animation that becomes everything easier? Am I thinking about that right?
yeah. So the script kind of has to be written first,
Okay.
and and I think AI really struggles with especially longer scripts. If you just want to make a 1 or 2 minute video, you'll have a great video. But equally, there's not much story that can happen in 2 minutes.
Mhm.
If you want to create a 10 minute, eventually 2 hour video, then how do you kind of interweave all of the abstract ideas that humans can think about, all of these things that a director would or a writer would spend years kind of accruing in their experience?
Mhm.
How do you get AI to replicate that? And I think that's probably going to be the hardest challenge in the long run. How do we how do we create a piece of art that humans connect with versus humans just see for a couple of minutes and like that's cool and they move on with the day. Um, so I think we will need writers for quite a while, honestly.
Do you end up spending a lot of time with writers or like consuming great writers so that you can figure out what great storytelling looks like?
Yeah, so I think right now I'm actually focusing on just the video
Hmm.
because I honestly think the writing problem is such an insanely big problem that I'm not equipped to solve that, and I'll need to grow as a company and a person, and hopefully as an artist before I can even think about that problem. So I'm currently working on the video problem. So say we already have a script written,
Right.
how can we convert that to video? And that's something I do have some experience with.
What's the longest script that you could sort of do right now?
The longest script that is good, I would say, is like 800 words. So that would be
That's like a
five,
blog
six
article. That's
minutes.
not bad.
Yeah, yeah,
And
like
and
almost like an essay.
is
Yeah,
it like consistent in its output? So there would be character consistency across the 8 minute video.
yeah. So right now, a consistency I would say is 90%. So every now and then, every 1 in 10 clips, you have to go ahead and click regenerate or just top something up manually. But mostly it's very consistent, and obviously that speeds up the process a lot. But I think I'm very bullish on the fact that AI video is very good today. We just need to
Hmm.
be able to apply it right. I need like tomorrow in a few years, it'll be insane.
What's got to change from your end, from the way that you look at how
Yeah.
these models are created? What needs to change to make sure and maintain consistent improvements and innovation in the video models?
I think I think the biggest problem lies in the fact that we don't really know anything about generative AI. We don't know how any of
Hmm.
these things actually work. Like we know mathematically how they work, but how does the response get created? How does the AI draw
Dude, we don't know
conclusions?
how the brain thinks. It's nuts.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and that's the problem, right? Because if you don't know how, like, it's like trying to teach a kid. If you don't know how the kid thinks at all, you're gonna really struggle trying to teach a kid complicated maths or biology
Hmm.
because you have no clue like what exercises to teach them or what examples to use. And that's the same problem we're seeing with AI video. Like, how can I get the AI video to be what I want when I have no clue how the AI thinks? And honestly, I think interpretability and alignment, those are like the two key areas that we need to crack before we have insane advancements with AI. At least in my opinion.
Tell me more. So like double click on that for me. You want the interoperability that we have to make leaps and bounds in. Why specifically that?
Yeah, I think models are already very smart. ChatGPT is incredibly smart, and we know that. And it's been smart for at least a year
Is
now.
it smart, or do you still think it's just wrapping itself in shit?
I personally find, in my experience, it's actually pretty
Yep.
smart.
Okay.
Um,
But is
I
that
think
just good prompting?
I think there's a level to that. I don't think
Okay.
prompting is actually a huge factor, especially over time, because OpenAI know that most prompts are terrible. And
Hmm.
so what ChatGPT would do a lot of the time is just rewrite the prompt in the backend. And for example, if you generate an image for ChatGPT.com, it actually rewrites your prompt by default. So OpenAI and all these companies know normal prompts are bad. Even my prompts are probably not great. So they fix the prompting issue mostly for us. I think the real issue is like we have no context on the AI. Like, for example, I can look at someone and kind of get some context from them. So if they're from a certain country and they've come from certain experiences, their parents a certain job, I can already build this mental profile just by reading a piece of paper about their history. And my profile is stereotypical, but the whole notion of stereotypes is that 80% of them are correct and 20% of them are wrong. But that's useful to me because I've very, very quickly built up a portfolio of this person. You can't do that with AI because like what is the AI being trained on? Everything. What is everything? Um, and so I think that problem is it feels almost impossible to crack.
I feel that as we consistently start using like ChatGPT's multimodal functionality, Grok's multimodal functionality, and that ease of use becomes faster, these video models are going to get better, and therefore the interoperability is going to get better downstream, right? As long as we don't run into the scaling curve that everyone keeps like whining about right now. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, we're going to hit it at some point potentially. Like, let's just keep going until then. For you, is it very much like, well, I just have to make the bet that the models get better, the video models get consistently better. And I'm just going to make sure that I have the infrastructure and the skeleton to sort of feed these models in. And then I'll go work on the storytelling problem.
Yeah, so that's the way I'm approaching it. But as you said, the assumption I have is that these models will like grow like that, or I guess in camera like that. Um, so that's kind of the assumption that I have. And it's kind of the assumption that seemingly billions of people have, or at least like pretty much everyone in the space, because the amount of money being poured into AI right now, all of these AI startups are reliant on models being better years from now,
Mm-hmm.
and cheaper, right? Because right now a lot of AI applications aren't profitable. The expectation is over time they get cheaper and will be immensely profitable. Um, and I think that's a big assumption, but also it's one I do believe in, just because like we're so early into this journey. I don't see a way in which we don't improve. Like maybe you're right. Maybe scaling laws aren't the way we improve, but we don't need scaling laws. Like that's not the only way we can improve. Maybe we get a chip that's much more efficient, which drives down the cost. Um, and there are all of these other potential solutions to get us better AI models, and that's why I think it's a safe assumption that AI will get better.
All right, I want to talk a little bit on the valley.
Mhm.
Why did you go out there? Like, why didn't you just spend time across Europe? Was it because you needed that energy, you needed that flavor of building an SF?
Honestly, I've met people like back before I ever went. I met people in London who said they went to SF for a week or two or a month, and it just completely changed them, and they'd come back a different human. And I've never really understood that. And so I just wanted to like there's something there that I have to go experience because all of these people are coming back as different, better humans.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Do you
and I just
think
wanted
do
to
you
kind
think
of see
better
what it's about.
humans?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think better. So assuming the goals they have,
Yep.
they are better equipped to achieve those goals.
Understood.
Obviously, there's so much more to life than just kind of building a tech company. But if that's your goal and to like do cool things in tech, I think a lot of them were better equipped to do that in today's world. Um,
And so incentives aligned, it obviously made sense.
yeah, yeah. And so I just wanted to see what like this SF magic was all about.
Vibe check me.
And that
Does it live up to the hype?
I think it does. I think the number one, like absolutely the number one thing that just is like it's something I couldn't comprehend before I went, but now I understand it is that you can literally do anything and you can like nothing is out of bounds. If you have some experience, some skills, some sort of value, some knowledge, you can go get a job. You can go build a company selling that service or selling a product. And the thing that really kind of convinced me about going all in on doing my own thing in life is that going to SF, so many people have done their own thing. So many people have failed for literally 10 years and eventually succeeded. And some people who continued failing, they still got a job and they're doing great right now. They're doing some really cool research or whatever. And like you just can't fail. That's what I learned. You cannot fail if you keep trying. And I think that's the mindset shift that a lot of people have.
Did you leave the UK thinking like Okay, failure is an option that exists in my arsenal of
100%.
options. And now you just
100%.
realize that it's the failure is the success and the feedback loop continues. It's just how can I, like, how
Yeah.
fast can I fail? How fast can I iterate?
Yeah, like the word failure just isn't a thing over there in the sense that I've dropped out. So to an extent, to some people, I've already failed. But if I spend the next few years not really succeeding in anything by any like big, say like I don't build a big company or I
Hmm.
don't get a job, a lot of people I think in the UK would see that as failure. In SF or Silicon Valley, they'd be like, "That's so cool. I want to speak to you. I want to hire you." And that's kind of the that like that's like mindset shift, right? Like you cannot fail.
Do you
You
play the
just can't
dropout
fail.
card? Do you feel like that, like that's the cool thing to do right now? I don't, like, humor me for a moment. Obviously,
Yeah.
like it's a big deal because it goes against what is culturally right over here. We see this more and more and more. Obviously, you're not an exception to the rule. You are actively going and doing it. But do you feel like it's become the sexy thing to do right now, and so everyone's doing it? Or did you actually sit there and go, no, this is the right decision?
Yeah.
It wasn't a reactive knee jerk.
Yeah, so going to like America, I would have thought that a lot more people would have dropped out,
Uh huh.
and I would have met more people who dropped out. And at least in like the circles and the events I was going to, um, I didn't really see that. Like
Oh,
I saw only a
really?
few people drop out. Same as in the UK.
So it's not as mainstream as it's made out to be.
Yeah, at least in the tech world, yes.
Hmm.
I imagine people drop out to go do other businesses like car washing and farming because those are very profitable in America. So I imagine dropout rates are probably higher in America. But at least in the tech world, I didn't observe it and to be any higher. So I don't think I don't think it's something people are doing that much. But I did play the card, as you said. I did play the dropout card because that always piques people's interest. They're like, "Ooh, what did you do? What? Why? What are you doing now?"
Myself included, right? It's when we first met. I was like,
Yeah.
what spots did you hit out there? Where did you end up enjoying your time? And when I say enjoyment, I mean, oh, this is the reason I came to SF.
I mean, I think it's the classic things, right? It's going to the hack houses. It's those like 3 a.m. conversations that someone just walks into your room in the hack house, also awake at 3 a.m. and just talk for another 2 hours. It's going to have a coffee chat for 15 minutes and ending up having the chat for 2 hours.
Mhm.
It's kind of all these
Is that
magical
because
moments.
people just end up building their calendars so they have time for that?
I don't think so. Like
It just
I
happens.
Yeah, like you don't like when you're thinking logically, should I meet this person or should I continue coding? Like the
Yep.
answer is obviously continue coding. Like you have a
Hmm.
startup to build. But you meet this person and you're like, I just love this conversation. I'm addicted to this conversation. I've got to keep going. Um, and I think that's the reason that that you have really strong relationships formed in SF when it comes to people in the tech world.
Where did you end up spending? Did you actually live in Founders Inc?
For a couple of weeks, yeah. For a couple of weeks. Yeah.
Good vibe over
Um,
there?
yeah. Founders Inc. was incredible. I think I think increasingly like the value of a VC is not just the money. Money is like the definition of a commodity. Money is everywhere. The value is the community. And like the whole premise of YC is you're in this batch of a whole load of other people who are trying to do the same thing as you. YC alumni will help you, will reach out to you just because you're a YC person. And that's the big value of YC. Same thing with Founders Inc. The big value of Founders Inc. is they've managed to bring together this selection of people that they think vibe really well together, can work really well together, and they do so extremely successfully. So it's incredible.
Who did you meet over there that you still stay in contact with?
So many random people, like people who've gone, like I know this one person, he went to uni in America. He didn't come up from like a very well-off family. But he learned electronics and electrical engineering pretty early and just did consulting services, making 10K on this project, 5K on this project. And then he came to SF and now he kind of realizes that the scope he can work on or like the impact he can have is way bigger. And so he got really, really drawn into that idea of making things really, really big. And this guy is now like a good friend of mine. And there are a couple of stories like that. I met some really good friends in SF.
When you think about impact after coming back, what has changed?
So I came from like a smallish town, um, in like the east of England,
Hmm.
and I've always lived there. I went to school, like high school in Cambridge, and Cambridge is not that big either. It's pretty small. But then I went to university a year ago in London over here, and that's when I was like, the world is huge. Like, like everything is so much bigger. Everything is there's so much more opportunity. There are so many more cool people to meet. And then I went to SF, and I was like, the world is even bigger. So it's almost like being upgraded every year to like the next big thing. And to answer your question, like now that I'm coming back, I realized that like literally the entire world it is available, and you can create products that hit billions and billions of humans, and that is possible. And you can just do that.
Do you think you'll end up building from here, or you'll end up going out there and build from there?
I think in the early stages of the company, being an SF is definitely valuable.
Hmm.
The cost is definitely higher, but it's those conversations, like those 2 a.m. conversations or those coffee chats that take many hours. It's those conversations that really spark your imagination and like get the creative ball rolling. And it's those creative ideas that help you come up with the breakthrough. Like one good idea can save you 100 hours of work, right? And if you have that idea literally every week because of all these conversations you have, then you're just way further ahead than anyone else in the world.
All right, so mental model of life has changed. How you think about impact has changed. How you think about, what it means to build today has changed. Like, why is this
Mhm.
the problem that you want to solve then, or is this just this is just the starting point,
I mean,
or
I think
are you married to this idea currently, or iterations
so.
of this idea?
I don't know what like my life's calling is yet, but I really, really, really like this idea from like three regards.
Hmm.
Firstly, it's technical. I just love the technical parts of image models. Second is I want to create something that can feasibly touch everyone. Like I want
Hmm.
all 8 billion people to kind of see my work, and with animation, with the end goal being movies. Like I can put a movie in a cinema, and millions and tens of millions and hundreds of millions of people can go see that movie, like across the world. And I think that's kind of incredible. And I think it'd be cool to like in 20 years take my kids to the cinema and show them like dad's movie. And I think that's really interesting. And the third reason I'm interested in this idea is I get to work directly with artists,
Hmm.
and animators and writers and all of those types of people. I think those types of people have a very kind of pure and philosophical view of the world, and that's a view that I really want to learn more from, and spend time around.
Does it feel like you're also going to cannibalize what they do? Like, obviously, every tool that we build today can enhance the work that like a physical person does, but there are some that it will just take, like it will just do the job, quote unquote, right? And it feels like in art we sort of like toe this line of, oh, it's a tool to enhance the artist's work, it's a tool to help this. Like
Yeah,
with what you're building, it genuinely feels, because I've seen it, right?
yeah,
I like, it feels like it can do the work. So
yeah.
how do you like how do you synthesize that in your head where you're like, I'm going to build
Mhm.
something, it's beautiful in everything that it creates, and creates so much impact globally over million billions of lives, but I'm also going to do this, like it's also going to do this, and that's the impact of it? Or do you just not think about that?
I think I kind of have two approaches. So from the level of like the people I'm essentially replacing.
Yep.
Like everything changes over time. Like a software engineer 10 years ago has to learn different tools to a software engineer today. And like by becoming a software engineer, you almost sign this contract, invisible contract, saying that as the time shifts and the technology changes, I'm willing to adapt and learn the latest, then the next great thing. And if you don't want to, that's perfectly fine. That just means you are either going to get stuck behind, or you can just switch careers. Like that's totally fine. Same thing for animators and writers. Like you've chosen this field because of some high level reasons, um, and you kind of have signed this invisible contract saying that the industry is changing out of my control, and it always will. Like for every industry, and I can either adapt, or I can get left behind, or I can just go switch to a different thing. Um, and I think that's true for literally every industry. So I don't think that's something that's necessarily worth thinking about in detail too much, which comes on to like my second point, which is that I'm a very like techno optimist. Like I think technology will solve everything. I think I'm going to live to 500 years old at least. Um, and like it's kind of like nuclear bombs. We have nuclear bombs, they're a problem. We also have nuclear energy. They're a great thing. Same with AI. We now have like tools that can help us cure cancer or do all these incredible things that save lives and make lives better. But on the other hand, you can obviously hack people easier now that you have AI tools, or you can kind of get rid of humanity, or like it is kind of the doomsday approach. So I think with every tool, you always have upside and you have downside. Um, but I think historically we've always kind of veered more towards greater upside than downside. Like life today is better than it was 100 years ago, way better.
Is that just not the argument though? Because like life just gets better as innovation gets better. Like that is the cycle of life though, right?
Yeah, exactly. I think inevitably humans might just like make ourselves extinct. As you say, the cycle
It's
of
weird because
life.
that's what startups are built for. We have built this ecosystem with venture and startups that allow us to destroy the thing we've capitalized, and the cycle
Yeah,
continues.
yeah. Like if I'm successful with my startup, in 20 years, there's going to be another startup who's about to replace me. Um, and it's almost like the whole idea of startups is that stuff will break, stuff will move fast, that nothing lasts very long. And it's almost like the cycle of a company is a very, very, very shortened cycle of life and species and yeah, things in general.
Sourish, before we let you go, over like a couple questions. One, is there a founder you look at and go, like, I really enjoy, reading this person's work, listening to what he or she has to say? Is there someone that you look to and think, like, you're on my Mount Rushmore of founders?
I think one very interesting founder is Sam Walton. Do you know what he founded?
No, tell me more.
Walmart.
No way.
So
Sam
it's a
Walton
crazy,
founded,
yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, so this was like 50, 60 years ago, but he founded Walmart, which is the biggest chain in America. I think the highest revenue company in the world, and I think one of the biggest employers in the world. So this is a huge company. It's a behemoth. And this guy, like, obviously he works in retail, and he just revolutionized retail.
Hmm.
And a lot of the principles we kind of apply in the tech startup world are similar principles to what he applied in the retail world.
Really?
And I just think it's fascinating to see this guy, like before the time of the internet, build up his companies using the same philosophies that we're using today. Um, and we're seeing the results of that. And Walmart is still like number one. Like no one has disrupted Walmart, which is crazy.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. It's like, how are they still the incumbent? But they have,
Yeah,
so
and it's
they
because
have
they're
just
not.
built, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, somehow, somehow.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
goes against all conventional wisdom of like startups. And this Sam has been able to build something that has lost the test of time.
I think one big reason he has is because the whole premise of like these stores is they're franchises.
Hmm.
So like each store is operated by a different group of people. And that means you almost have like each store is like its own mini business startup thing. And somehow Walmart has managed to do that in a way that, Subway, Pizza Express, all these other firms haven't. I don't know how, but I think the book does give us some ideas into it.
All right, required reading for the show. Let's go and get that.
Yes, 100%.
Secondly,
Yes.
what's your canon moment for tech? Like, what brought you into this space that has made you fall in love with it and become this techno optimist? Feels like we're preaching Mark Andreessen over here right now. Techno optimist, American dynamism. We're living the SF experience on the show.
So what brought me into it is pretty simple. It's just my brother was into tech, so I got into tech as like a 10-year-old child. But what kept
Was it
me
computers? Was it games? Was it consoles? Was it the
Oh, I see
iPhone?
your question now. Yeah. Um,
And then what
so
kept you in it?
originally it was building like like line following robots and other cool things with
What the
the
hell,
BBC
man?
microbit. The microbit is like a super simple version of an Arduino or Raspberry Pi, which is intended towards young kids. So I got that and I just played around with it all the time. The thing that kept me in love with it is competitive programming. Because when something is competitive, when there's leaderboard, you want to get to the top of it. So you would just spend day and night grinding, learning programming, learning CS principles to try and win. And that just made me fall in love with computing and programming.
Love it. My friend, this has been an absolute pleasure. Like, this has genuinely been awesome it's so far removed from what I am able to do. And I hope that you are able to build this product. I'm going to be with you every step of the journey. This has been a pleasure.
Thank you so much. It was awesome to chat and meet you a couple of weeks ago that night.
Dude, you realize it was like 2 weeks.
Feels like a long time.
It feels like a long time. It's like, it's the serendipity of the valley doesn't exist here. We're trying to bring a
Yeah.
flavor of that with the show. Suresh, crack on with the rest of the week. I will see you soon. Thanks so much for the time.
Awesome. Bye.